Welcome back to the Fanboy Cantina. In this video, this is our video review of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. There will be some light spoilers as we get into it here, so if you haven't seen the film, you might want to hit pause and come back after you see the movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania raises the stakes from the previous two Ant-Man films, diving deep into the quantum realm and expanding the Marvel multiverse. Now, contrary to the negative reviews out there, I really enjoyed this installment of the MCU, and it's the best MCU movie in more than a year since the last Spider-Man movie in 2021. The action starts quickly as a well-intentioned project by Cassie Lang, that's Ant-Man's daughter, goes horribly wrong, driving our heroes into the quantum realm, exploring new worlds and creatures, and unveiling hidden secrets and a new threat. With the heavy focus on the quantum realm, the film loses part of the San Francisco, or at least Earth-based charm of the first two Ant-Man films, along with that extended family storyline. The heist gimmick is not nearly as compelling here either. As shown by the onslaught of multiple visual effects studios in the end credits, this movie relies heavily on them to create that quantum realm, and it's generally well executed and effective in creating the epic feel. But that said, I found it a little bit confusing because it's supposed to be a quantum realm ravaged by Kang, but the skies are beautiful, there's communities, even decadent looking bars, so it could have been done differently to create a more war-torn setting. There is one heavy visual effects character that I don't think worked well. It elicited laughter in the audience at their first appearance when I saw it. And while I think it's meant to be comical, it's so oddly executed that it took me out of the film every time he was on the screen. Jonathan Majors is stellar as Kang, the villain of this film, a destroyer of worlds. As Kang the Conqueror, we have a very different Kang than He Who Remains that appears in the Disney Plus series Loki. Much like Christian Bale as the villain in Thor: Love and Thunder, Jonathan Majors brings that strong performance as the villain here, and that really lifts up the film. Michelle Pfieffer has a larger than expected role here, seemingly as though that she is in the title role as the original Wasp versus the Wasp played by Evangeline Lilly. And though it felt like they were dragging out the mystery of Janet Van Dyne's time in the quantum realm, what she'd do during all those years, it made for an interesting film, and it made for an interesting way to introduce us into the quantum realm and explore this world. Evangeline Lilly's Wasp has her moments, but really she doesn't have that much dialogue compared to the rest of the core cast. And Paul Rudd is great and consistent as Scott Lang, and his performance carries more dramatic weight later in the film. With a down-the-middle script uplifted by stunning visual effects, the film has its uneven moments, sometimes stalling the energy for exposition, topped with moments of remarkably bad dialogue and a painfully awkward final 2 minutes. There was a way to write the script in a more compelling and interesting way. In Avengers Endgame, it appears that Cassie's been living by herself for the past 5 years because of the blip, so it could have been interesting to explore any family tension or trauma, which could have raised the emotional stakes of this film. And while there is that familiar father-daughter dynamic here, it lacked the heart of the previous two Ant-Man movies, and that may be due to the lack of chemistry between Kathryn Newton as Cassie Lang and Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. Just to acknowledge the recast, I would have liked Emma Fuhrmann to have continued in the role of Cassie Lang, as she delivered far more emotion with the scant amount of screen time that she had in Endgame compared to Kathryn Newton all across all of Quantumania. Now, of course, Newton didn't have a lot to work with in a script that mainly requires her to just yell "Dad." It's the intersection, though, between the script, director and the actor, and I was just hoping for more out of the Cassie Lang character. And I really, really miss some of the beloved characters from the first two Ant-Man films who gave memorable moments and those family dynamics, and accordingly, they are conspicuously absent here. Certain repeated tropes get really tiresome, especially considering, Kang is a multiverse-shattering villain and yet has the most incompetent army since, insert random 80s action movie here. A fun drinking game could be every time the heroes escape from these henchmen, you take a shot or something, but you need a liver transplant by the third act. And again, about those last 2 or 3 minutes, it's remarkably bad, and this is apparently due to reshoots conducted at the very last minute. But that ending is awkward, not funny, and it just squanders the energy of the film. Further, the less trailers you see, the better the movie experience will be, because they unfortunately spoiled, I think, a little too much of the film. There are 2 end credit scenes to check out, so be sure to stick around if you have not yet seen the film. While I'm hitting this film with some harsh criticism, I still, believe it or not, enjoyed Quantumania. I had a good time. There are glaring moments and elements where this movie could and should have been better, but what's on the screen is an enjoyable matinee or night at the movies, and I'm looking forward to where the MCU goes from here. So post in the comments, what did you think of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? What were your thoughts on this film? As always, thank you so much for watching. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. This has been the Fanboy Cantina.